Alright, hello and welcome to Devstream Breakdown for Devstream 63. Not the 63rd breakdown, because that wouldn't make much sense. Anyway, we got a lot of good news this week. There are a few things I'm a little worried about or that aren't very exciting just in general, but we got to see Nezha, we got some general dates on things, and we got some new systems to preview before Update 18 comes out. And most of this stuff is going to be in 18, so it's supposed to be soon. The app ETA also is going to cert next week, which means that it will be out the week after that, probably. And then as for when's Update 18, they said the end of November, which does mean December, actually. Usually in DE speak, that usually means the month after that. So that's pretty much the schedule for releasing things. The app will be 2 weeks from now, and then the large Update 18 will be at the beginning of December, which is just fine. So next we have the new augments. So these are augments for Atlas and Equinox, and I'm not going to go over all of these. They're here for you if you want them, but I will point out one thing, and it's the Mend and Maim augment suggestion. It's worth noting that that basically is like a hidden thing there. Like Mend, no one cares about. Maim is the power everyone's using, and Maim is actually getting something good, whereas everything else here for Equinox seems like completely unusable. And then as for Atlas, Atlas's kit doesn't support a lot of things even as it stands right now. And I don't think anything except for maybe the Rumbler augment is going to see any play whatsoever or change anything for these frames. So there's that. Moving on, we have some actually very exciting things, and that's the Nezha abilities. So I have some problems with the Nezha abilities, and they're not good problems to have. The problem that I have with these abilities is that they're basically a greatest hits series of powers that have been great before. So Firewalker, you lay a trail behind you and you get a boost of speed. That's just Volt, like this is like a little bit less version of Volt's 2, but it also costs way less energy, and since you're probably going to be building power strength anyway, you're probably getting the speed boost all of the time. And it also has damage attached to it. So like, it's a 20% speed increase at base. So I don't know what the plan is there to do something with Volt's 2, maybe. Just like having the melee speed increase that Volt gets, like not having that on Firewalker doesn't matter much. Mostly the run speed is really, really strong. So that's what Firewalker is, and that's a 1 now. So we have that. Blazing Chakram, this is probably the one that is the most unique and is actually the most interesting, and actually has some like combination stuff. So you throw the big ring that Nezha has, and then you can hit again to teleport to it, and if you're doing Firewalker while you do this, it chains into an explosion that I don't know how well like that will scale or anything, but it's nice to see that the powers like work together and things like that. Also, having a heal attached to this ability means that it's just going to be very good. It's probably just going to be a solid ability that you use all the time. And then moving on from that, we have Iron Skin. Oh, I'm sorry. This is warding Halo. I don't know how I could have possibly confused it for Iron Skin. This gives you a set damage absorption limit, and then it gives you also, on top of that, damage per second around you at a range. This is just a better Iron Skin, and I think it's really gross that this is an ability. Like, even if it's a 3 instead of a 2, I think that's kind of disgusting. That's Iron Skin, only better. And that feels really lazy. Even if in practice it looks really cool, it feels really lame that's an ability. And I will also say that this ability means nothing in the later game. Like, nothing it does is like worth like almost anything whenever you're dealing with like higher level enemies, because as we discussed like before, whenever you get into the higher level enemies, your defenses need to be able to scale to the enemies. as in with Frost Snow Globe. This doesn't do that, or at least it doesn't appear to do that from the descriptions or what I saw. So it's just what Iron Skin is now, and it's really lame for being that. Moving on, we have Divine Spears. So Divine Spears is a big AoE that is also crowd control. There's nothing really unique about it. It's basically Rhino's 4, only with a stun that you get to determine the length of, so you can like, it's just a better version of Rhino Stomp that, like, it does more damage too. Like, and the damage is enhanced here, so there's that. But it's just it's really sad to see that Nezha's abilities seem to just be a greatest hits collection of, like, abilities that have worked in the past with, like, slight tweaks to make them actually better than those older abilities. And then even then, I don't think that Nezha is going to be able to scale into the endgame well, which will be very sad. But in the beginning levels, she's going to be fat fucking busted, and it's going to be no big deal for her, and she's going to be better than Rhino, probably, in terms of doing just star chart stuff. So, there's that. And then we have the sniper buff. So this is really interesting, and I don't know how I feel about it, because I would actually need... This is the thing that I was looking at, and I decided I would actually need to play it to really be able to judge it. But what we know is that your scope will have different zoom levels. Zoom levels are going to give different buffs depending on how far zoomed in you are, which... that I can comment on. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And it means that, like, you just want to be all the way zoomed in all the time, because you want the most buff. Like, there's no point where you want to be zoomed. That's not a thing. You want to zoom in all the way and just shoot the guy. Like, that's not. And then like taking the time to zoom in and out, that's worthless. Just zoom in all the way and shoot him. Anyway. And then there's also going to be, like, a combo system, like, for not missing shots and just, like, shooting enemies repeatedly. The system that they described was actually probably... it would probably give sniper rifles a real place, as in, like, endgame scaling damage, because he said it was, like, every 3 shots you get plus 50% damage. And what that would actually do is that would mean that for, like, crazy high level stuff, snipers would actually be the best thing, provided you were really, really good, because you could just keep, like, landing shots, and your damage would just keep ramping up, ramping up, ramping up, ramping up. The thing that I'm worried about with this system is it's a combo system, which means that if there's a timer associated with this, it's fucking worthless. Like, if you have to do, like, 1, 2, 3 with a sniper rifle, that's fine, and then you get a boost. But the combo breaker should be missing, not, like, keep doing it, go so fast to do more, because that means you need constant enemies, which is not going to happen. Like, there are so many game types where they have a hard time feeding you enemies. Like survival, it is hard to get enemies sometimes, especially when you're solo. So I don't think that works. It needs to be like a miss combo breaker to be a usable thing at all. But speaking of usable things, these are sorties. So I only was able to screenshot the last 2 phases of this, but basically these are missions that are going to be chained together that you will have to complete all of them to get a reward. And they're going to be much harder, much higher level. And we did not get any word on like what exactly these rewards would be, other than like alluding to it being some like exclusive type of like reward, like maybe like a Strun Wraith or something like that, some event type thing in that way. But like we have some examples of like what kind of modifiers we can have. Melee only, Void Energy Vortex is passing, Warframe Energy Capacity will be halved. So like we have effects that are happening, and then the mission itself will just be a much higher level. Also, it's worth noting that this Nuevo Ceres, this interception mission, that's literally like just a lower level version of the melee only event that we had already. So that's just probably just one of their like set aside mission parameters that they already had. Like the energy capacity thing, that's been in a tactical alert as well. But basically, you will only be able to do one of these a day, or like one, like full tactical or sortie every single day. So it's actually worth it to get on and do, because I assume the rewards are going to be worth it. I'm assuming that, because the rewards for this need to be better than just running like Triton, or they need to be unique. So I hope that they can get that stuff right. Otherwise, I think this would be really fun. Just in general, I think this would just be just a good time to have some more higher level content that I don't need to gather like 7 other 1004. I think that's going to work out really, really well, and is just an improvement to the game as a base. Next up, we have the Saryn rework comments. No more changes are planned, and they will be monitoring it. That's unfortunate, because it means that we're not going to see Saryn changes for a while, and that's really sad, because it means that Saryn is going to remain on the shelf for many, many people for a long time coming. Unfortunately, I imagine Saryn will be one of the reworks that gets reworked first, based on that response, because she doesn't scale. She doesn't have anything going for her that a lot of other frames have. She puts herself in danger. She doesn't have defenses. I've been over a lot of this stuff. The other videos I have on Saryn can explain further what's wrong with Saryn. So let's just move on. So the Steam Workshop. So this is only going to be available to PC currently, but they're going to try and get it onto the consoles. But we have a couple of things to show. Let's see. Show the... So this is the Excal and the mag skins that we're going to be getting. I really, really like this mag skin, which is not something that I expected to say, just like at first glance with this, but it's very appealing. And the Excal one, I have the like specialty skin or whatever for Excal, the proto armor that I'd pretty much always be using, but the skin is very nice for those that don't have access to that. So those are the skins, and then we have the new Sindana. I actually really like how this Sindana looks. The colors, whenever it's actually released, will be changed from this, since there are Prime aspects, and I assume they would want to be able to do a Prime version of this Sindana at some point. So that is what we have there for the Steam Workshop stuff. So expect that stuff very, very soon. Some of the other things that got through the Steam Workshop and got approved need code worked into them to be able to be put into the game, but it's being worked on. So you can expect there to be a lot more Steam Workshop stuff. And maybe we'll get some new systems to go with it. Other than that, let me see if I missed any content. I did not. Okay, so the last thing we have is some comments on the Archer Warframe. They said that the powers are turning out to be more stealth-oriented, which... How should I put this? I don't want them to introduce frame powers that only work in stealth, because that doesn't make sense for about 6 different game types. So that means you've got dead powers in like a lot of the game. So that just won't work. Hopefully they can combine like a good power and then have a bonus in stealth. That would be the preferred. But I worry about the Archer Warframe's viability whenever they start saying that stealth is going to be involved with the frame. And I also start worrying that we're going to just get like a Loki clone or Ashe again or something like that, where you just have invisibility and then we're going to call that stealth, because that's not really what's... Like, that's stealth on like the most fringe terms, because you use invisibility offensively. So there's that. Also, the Archer Warframe is going to be coming in the update 18. So there's that. And then finally, we got a teaser for update 18 itself. And I have it here, so you guys don't have to go looking for it. It's really, really short, but I found it to be pretty interesting. So let's take a look. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to let that keep playing. So what's interesting here is that we're seeing things from the perspective of Stalker. And like based on like my speculation stuff about Nezha that you may have seen, you know that the Stalker, we already knew the Stalker was involved based on that teaser, but this one and like the perspective that this is being shown from makes me think that you're playing as the Stalker, which would be really interesting and would probably be the best way to give us a lot of story-based background without having to adjust for our specific frame, which is like a smart trick into like resource usage, which like you can't blame anyone for doing that, because it's probably much cheaper to do one cutscene than like the variables of like bugs for everyone's different attachment setup and things like that. But I think it would be very, very cool to be able to play as the Stalker and get a lot of background on like what's going on there. Obviously, that is just speculation. This is literally like a 7-second clip. But that's what I would like to see from it. I think it would be really cool to play as a Stalker and kind of get the story from his perspective. I think that would be a lot of fun. So, let's see. Did I get everything? Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much Devstream 63. There was a lot of like almost answering questions that went on that really sucked, but just in general I think we actually got quite a bit. We got to see Nezha, we got this teaser, we got the Steam Workshop stuff, the Sortie system looks amazing. Sniper buff, while questionable, is still something that I like to see, giving some attention to the sniper weapons, and just overall it was a pretty good stream, and I'm excited for Update 18. I want that to happen as soon as possible. If the end of November actually happens, it will be a very, very good end of November. But yeah, that's all I got for you, and I'll see you tomorrow.